Today we're going to help you get your BeanSeeker set up for the first time and begin doing your first extraction. So to begin with, let's just talk about some things that you may need. Now, these items come in the box. You have a carafe, you have a V60 style filter holder. It comes with an assortment of about 100 V60-01 papers. These are a nice paper made by Kaleida. They're more of a cloth, as well as 100 of these round paper filters. We'll talk about that in a little bit. Now, a few additional items that you may need is a coffee grinder. Right here we have a DF64, or we have something as simple as a nice hand grinder. So I'm sure most of you guys have these around already. It doesn't really matter which. Another thing that can be nice to have is a scale. We have our scale right here. If you don't have a scale, don't worry about it because I'll show you a little trick here in a minute, but it is kind of nice to have a scale. So let's get started. So a quick discussion on brew ratios. We typically find between 1:9 ratio and 1:12 ratio to be ideal. That is a quite wide variance. Today we're going to do a 1:12 ratio. So you can see I have 25 grams of beans weighed out. I told you that I would do a quick trick. In case you don't have another scale, the base of our BeanSeeker is a scale. So we're going to take a look at that. I'll show you the screen in a little bit better detail here in a minute. But to begin with, take like a small dosing cup that you may have for a grinder and set it on your BeanSeeker. In the front, you can click 0 and that will tear the scale. Now you can just weigh out some beans using your BeanSeeker itself because it does have this built-in scale. So with that tared, when we put it on there, you can see that we have 25 grams of beans. Similar to the brew ratio, you'll most likely develop a setting that you enjoy on your grinder. Today we have this DF64, and I've set it to setting 35. This has done just quite well for me. I do encourage you to play with your brew ratio as well as your grinder setting. Preparing your filter holder is as simple as preparing a V60. Simply place your paper in, followed by your grounds. It is a good idea to just kind of give it a shake and make sure that they're nice and level. Now, the one thing that you may not do with your V60 is put a filter paper on top. Now, the reason for this is as the slow drip water goes across this surface, it will want to go outward. Now you could do this without the paper, but the paper will allow the water to disperse across the grounds more evenly. In this case today, we are using a bottle of water. So we will open up the bottle of water and put our tube into the water. Next, simply place your filter holder into the BeanSeeker as well as your carafe into the tray. Now you will want to click the 0 button, which will tear the scale that controls the flow control. So you can tell that the temperature has dropped rapidly. We are nearing 0 degrees. Now, if your ambient temperature is a little bit cool, you may want to bump that up by a few degrees. You can see that as it's pre-wetting the grounds, it is beginning to weigh some of the output and the machine is slowing down. Now, to make your BeanSeeker experience the best that it can be, we realize that you may not want the sound or the lights on all the time. So we have added this gear off to the side, and you can see if we click the light off button, the blue lights turn off as well as the sound. Now do realize that if for whatever reason your BeanSeeker ran out of water, there is no way of alerting you, it will just stop the extraction. The last feature that I would like to cover real quick is if for whatever reason you were to pull the carafe out of the machine, you obviously don't want the water to remain running. So we have incorporated some programming that when you remove the carafe, you can see that it detects that the carafe has been removed and it will stop the flow rate. You put your carafe back in, when it detects the weight, it will begin again. Hope this helps you get started with your BeanSeeker. Thank you.